My name is Jill Lillie. I have been a volunteer for many years at both the Arts Festival and First Night. So when Rick Bryant gave me a call and said, would I be willing to share a recipe with the people here in Center County, I said I would love to do it. So my recipe today is a recipe for sticky buns. Sticky buns have been kind of a family tradition. We have had sticky buns for Christmas breakfast now for, I don't even want to say how many years, but for quite a while. I personally like this because it is quick. It's great for a cook or a non-cook, and it's easy. Usually I'm not a big fan of using processed food or ready-made food. However, in this case, because it does not really affect the quality and it makes life a lot easier for those of us who are crazy busy, I did use a couple of pre-made things that you'll see soon. I have to tell you that I really do enjoy cooking. Most of my cooking is from scratch, but I cheat when I can, and if the quality is the same. So when I was growing up, I was one of 5 children, and my mother, God bless my mother, was not so much of a cook. She spent a lot of her time reading and would get lost in a story, and we would end up with some overdone meals. So out of self-defense, both my sister and I kind of took over some of the cooking duties, and I think that's kind of what started my love of cooking anyway. So let's get started with how to make sticky buns. You're going to need a 9 by 13 pan and grease it. I use Pam, but you could use any kind of generic spray if you like. And we're going to put in 1.5 cups of pecans. Now, you really don't have to use pecans if you prefer walnuts, which I have here. Dried cranberries could be used, raisins could be used. You could even just make plain sticky buns without anything. But I love pecans, so I will tell you that I put an overly generous 1.5 cups of pecans in my sticky buns. So we'll scatter those over the pan, like so. And next up, when I talked about convenience, here is kind of what I was referring to. Instead of making your own bread dough, which I started out doing, I found the next step was using frozen bread dough and letting it thaw, breaking it apart into balls and using that. And then along came dinner rolls, which are perfect, the perfect size, perfect everything. So now you have these wonderful little frozen balls that you can use for your sticky buns and save yourself a heck of a lot of time. All of these things, this pan should be done the night before you want to serve it. So again, it frees you up, especially on Christmas morning when you have a million other things going on. It frees you up to do other things. So we're going to put 18 of these frozen rolls. They're actually roads, and I'm telling you that not to pitch a particular manufacturer, but I think they're the only ones that make these. So we'll put down these 18 rolls. They don't really have to be down evenly, but I usually kind of make a row so that they pull apart a little bit easier. This, I've probably been making these sticky buns for the last 40 years anyway. At one point, they were used as a fundraiser at my church, and they were quite the popular item. So there we have our 18 rolls on top of the pecans. Next up, we're going to put together a mix of items that we're going to pour over the sticky buns. So let me get a pan. First up is to melt 1 stick of butter. And we're going to put that on low and let that melt down. Okay, so we have our 1 stick of butter that's now melted. And to that, we are going to add 1 cup of light brown sugar, not packed. Don't pack it down or you'll end up with too much brown sugar. And actually you could use dark brown. It really doesn't make a big difference. So we're going to dump that into our melted butter. We're also going to add a package of vanilla pudding, the cooked variety. And let me emphasize, to get the cooked variety, because if you use the instant, you're going to end up with a big mess. So Jell-O Cook and Serve vanilla is what you want. We're going to dump that into our pan with the melted butter. We also have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon that we're going to put in there. And last but not least, we're going to add a tablespoon of water. The reason we do this is that I've found that there is a wide variance of water content in butter. And I when I first started doing this, I had no idea. So to be safe, so that the consistency is the right consistency, that it's not too thick, I add that tablespoon of water in here. Now we're going to take this mixture, mix it up. I might put it on the burner again just for a little bit. We're not going to boil it or anything, just to warm it up together. So here we have the topping for our sticky buns, and it's a pourable consistency but still fairly thick. So you want to take this and pour this on top of your rolls. I try to kind of cover all of them. And what we're going to do then is stick this in a cold oven overnight, all ready for the next morning. It will have risen, and then at that point can be baked off. The really cool thing about this recipe, it's also a time saver, because in the morning all you have to do is turn the oven on to 350. No need to preheat the oven. 350 does it all. So within 30 minutes, you've got tasty sticky buns. I think our sticky buns are ready. Let's check. Perfect. Don't they look delicious? We'll put those there. And let them cool for just a little bit. After that, we will flip these over, and voila, quick and easy sticky buns for you to enjoy. So here we have our nice warm sticky buns. They've rested for maybe 5 minutes, and you don't want them to sit for hours on end, or you'll end up with a stuck mess. They won't come out of the pan. So do this while they're still warm. There's some flexibility, you know, anywhere from 5, 10, 15 minutes is fine. But really, if you want a good outcome, you do want to do this before they harden. So I'm going to take a cookie sheet, put it on top of the pan, and we're going to flip it. I usually take a knife, grab something here, to try to lift this up to get it off. There we go. And there we have it. Homemade warm sticky buns to treat your family.